feel like wrestling is one of those things that is one of the most difficult sports to compete in. It's kind of interesting how many sports become really popular, and in terms of like being something that people pay to see. But wrestling never did that.
Right.
It never connected.
I could see it just because if you to the untrained eye, it just looks like two guys just, and especially if the two guys are at a high level, it's very like strategic what they're doing, and sometimes there could be not much action because they're just trying to get position, and the other guy's so good at staying in position, it's like it can be like a standoff that way. So I understand why it's not entertaining to the eye a lot of times.
I kind of do, but I kind of feel like it could have been. It feels like, I mean, how's baseball popular?
I'm not a baseball guy at all.
I don't get it.
Neither do I.
I appreciate it if people play it. I appreciate it if you love it. But for me, I just do not understand why that's entertaining.
Yeah.
And yet it's the big American pastime.
Right.
It's a funny thing. Like wrestling is way more exciting than
Well,
that.
I root for all the wrestlers in the MMA.
Oh, yeah.
The UFC.
How could you not?
It's like because it's like entertainment. I root for all the stand-ups. If a stand-up guy is going against an improv guy for a job, I'm rooting stand-up.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you got to root for the discipline that you came from.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You know?
And wrestling's the most important discipline for MMA,
You think?
Yeah, I think it's the foundation because the wrestler can dictate where the fight takes place. You know, if the wrestler chooses to stand, he can stand. If the wrestler wants to get back up, he can get back up.
Right.
And the wrestler knows how to take the guy down. Whereas, like, even though every fight starts standing up, and it's a big advantage for the striker while they're standing up. With the wrestler, if the wrestler knows how to strike, the striker has to think about two different things simultaneously.
Yeah.
Has to think, maybe this guy's going to shoot, and what if this guy punches me? What if this guy kicks me?
Right.
So there's like so many more options that the wrestler has, and there's that threat of the takedown that looms large that like paralyzes guys with anticipation. It's the most important foundation. It's everything in MMA. If you can't wrestle, good luck, because unless you can land a wild shot like Jorge Masvidal and Ben Askren, unless you get that wild shot off right away and knock the guy out, it's a long night against one of the best wrestlers.
Right, and that wild shot, are you going to be able to do that every time?
Most likely no. Yeah. If you look at like overall success rate, wrestlers have a huge percentage of wins in MMA, and the really good guys like Bo Nickel, like right away you see him dominating guys with like all this experience, because his skill set, that one skill that he has wrestling, he's so much better than everybody else that it's just a massive advantage.
And the training, like I took Taekwondo when I was young, and it's like forms and punches and kicks and forms, but when I started wrestling in 8th grade wrestling practice was so intense that I thought that the coach was punishing the football players I thought, are we being punished? For like 2 months. I had to check it on my friend. He's like, no, this is just what it is.
Yeah.
And it's so.
I wrestled 1 year in high school, and I couldn't believe how hard it was. I would remember going home, and my legs were so sore after running stadium stairs that I could barely walk. And I was like, this is horrible. And like then I would go to class, and I was so tired from wrestling that I was like, Jesus Christ, like how does anybody do this?
Yeah, it was nuts. And then the cutting weight also, which I'm sure you had to make weight for competition. It's like, and we didn't know anything back then. It's just like, go eat pasta and just like eat less. There was no like science behind any of it.
And you weighed in the day of the match too, which is terrible.
Terrible.
One of the best things about the UFC is that they cut weight the day before. I hate cutting weight, period.
Right.
My opinion on cutting weight for fighting is that it's sanctioned cheating. Like, you're not really 170 pounds.
Right.
You're 200 pounds.
Yeah.
But you dry yourself out the week of, and then 24 hours in, you're losing 12, 13 pounds.
Right.
And then you rehydrate like crazy. Like, what is this stupid thing that they're doing 24 hours before a cage fight?
Yeah.
You're literally almost dying.
Well, some guys are just naturally close to their weight. I wrestle with guys like that who are just like 3 or 4 pounds above the weight. Just they have very low body fat.
Yeah.
I wasn't like that. I was like a bulky guy and husky. And it's like, that means, you got to cut a lot of weight to get that muscle mass that the other guys might have naturally.
Yeah, to make the optimal weight, like body weight for competing.
Right,
but,
because if you wrestle at people just go wrestle at a higher weight. It's like then you're wrestling guys who cut down from a higher weight, and they're going to just be stronger.
Yeah, it's a big advantage if you could do it right. Like this weekend is Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira, and Pereira, who beat Adesanya in the last fight, is huge for 185. Like, I stand next to him, like, how is this guy 15 pounds lighter than me? That doesn't even make any sense. He's huge. But when he gets into the cage on fight day, he's 225.
The Leo Santa Cruz fight was really something for me because Leo Santa Cruz is a technician. He's great, Mexican style, like, but he's also a technician. And that fight was very close before Tank stopped him.
Yeah.
But he has that power that can end it.
But he finds these openings and he sees them, but he doesn't go after them right away. He waits for the right time. He's so patient.
Right.
Like when you watch the early rounds of his fights, he's like at a world champions that are competing today at the highest level. He probably has the lowest punch count in the early rounds.
Yeah.
Because he just wait, but he also knows he's got that nuclear option that if he can fucking crack you, most likely he's going to take you out. He's got massive confidence in that.
But the thing is, can you rely on that? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because at the end, you know, that Pitbull Cruz fight, it's like that was very close. Pitbull Cruz is a tough guy, Mexican, just staying in the pocket with him. You know what I mean? So it's like a Deontay Wilder thing where it's like you're just waiting on that one punch, but it's like you can't lose every round up to that either.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.